General surgery is a 5-year residency program, okay? In the first 2 years, you learn patient care. You learn how to take care of patients before and after. You assist in operations. You do diagnostic, differential diagnosis, and you learn how to work up a problem. And if you're a good intern, if you're a good first year, second year resident, they throw you a bone on again. They'll let you do a hernia, and they'll let you do an appendectomy, and they hold your hand while you do it. And then in the third and fourth years, you start to operate more, but you're always operating under the direct supervision of a senior resident or an attending is a fully trained surgeon. And again, you're having your hands held. I mean, they have to let you work. They got to put the knife in your hand, but they have to be good enough to do that and keep you out of trouble. And if you get in trouble, to get you out of trouble. And so you spend those 3 to 4 years kind of honing your skills. And then in the 5th year, when you are what we call a chief resident, you're basically regarded as being a surgeon. And you do your cases, you assist the younger surgeons in their cases. And the only time you call an attending surgeon in is if you're doing something very major, very complex, or if you haven't done this before. And so at the end of that 5th year, you should be able to walk out of the hospital and go anywhere and operate as a general surgeon and function fully independently. A study done in 2014 in the Annals of Surgery reported that 80% of the graduating general surgeons were not going into practice. They were going on to do a fellowship. Fellowship is additional.
80%?
80%. Fellowships in whatever, thoracic surgery, vascular surgery, colorectal, you name it. And that was in 2014. They surveyed program directors. These are the chiefs, the heads of surgical programs, to find out what these residents they were getting, what these surgeons that they were getting in fellowships were like. They found that 66% of them could not be relied upon to operate independently for more than about 30 minutes. That something like 30% or so could not handle tissues in a manner that was appropriate, atraumatically, if you will. 20-30% couldn't sew properly. Close to the same number couldn't identify the early signs of a complication. Some could not identify an anatomical tissue plane. These are people that are graduates of general surgery residencies coming out of these programs and going to fellowships. The saddest thing is that when they survey the young surgeons themselves and say, well, why are you going into this fellowship instead of going out and practicing? More than half say it's because they did not feel comfortable operating independently after 5 years of training. So there's something very wrong with the training they're getting. They're not getting enough cases to do. They're not being allowed to operate. In some places, the attending surgeons are very hesitant to hand over a case to a younger surgeon because, number one, they're responsible for that case. Number two, you're never going to be as efficient or fast as a young surgeon as you will later on when you've had more experience. So it takes longer and it impacts your day, your schedule. It's sad because they recognize this. I mean, these young surgeons recognize this. So the question is,
it sounds like a total failure to train the next generation of surgeons.
It's a system failure. And the ACS recognizes this. And you know how I know that? It's because since 2014, they've initiated what they call a mentorship program. And what they do is they try to find experienced surgeons that will mentor these young surgeons to help them come up to speed. Okay, so a young surgeon out of training that should be able to work on their own and finds that they're struggling or not really able to do that, they would have an experienced surgeon to, I don't want to say hold their hand, but to oversee them, supervise them, scrub with them. They can't find enough surgeons to do that, for one thing. Here's where the DEI really comes in too, is they have this idea of racial concordance that what they need to do is find, if it's a black surgeon, they got to find a black mentor for him. And if it's a Hispanic surgeon, they got to find a Hispanic mentor. And there's not enough of those to go around.
Not all sleep aids are made by pharmaceutical companies. You probably heard about 8 Sleep by now. They develop the country's most innovative products for sleep.
almost everybody in our office uses something they make called the pod, and they love it. And there's a reason that professional athletes and lots of other smart people do too. You add the pod to your mattress like a mattress cover, and it helps you get a better night's sleep and fill with vitality at the start of each day, in an intimidating way almost. It's amazing. How does it do it? Well, it uses advanced technology to track your sleep and automatically adjust the temperature of your side of the bed to what's perfect for sleep. And temperature makes all the difference. It's backed by over 600 million hours of data. They've also used those insights to create their new product, Sleep Elixir, to help you get quiet before you go to bed, fall asleep faster, and stay knocked out longer. No grogginess, no weird side effects, just better deep sleep. So if you're ready to take sleep and recovery to the next level, go to 8sleep.com/Tucker to get $350 off your Pod 4 Ultra full refund for 30 days if you don't love it. It works.
So in addition to what are demonstrable, provable failures of medical schools to train the next generation of surgeons, and can I just say parenthetically, I feel like if they're not training surgeons adequately, surgeons are a small percentage of all physicians, probably the most important, but they're probably not, and probably the smartest and most driven, then they're probably failing.
I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, they're surgeons, right? It's the most straightforward kind of medicine. So, but in addition to that, they overlay these racial mandates. They decide that racism is the real problem, not incompetence. And then they put these mandates in where, like, you have to somehow have doctors of all these different backgrounds, which you don't have. So what happens when
everything starts to go downhill?
Yeah,
really quickly. I get people contact me just because of my profile has been elevated by being out there a little bit. I got a call from a young plastic surgery resident that had been fully trained in general surgery and went on to begin her plastic surgery training. And she was concerned because she wanted to get the most out of her training. And so she reached out to me to find out what things she could do. She told me things that were unbelievable. I mean, I'd never imagined these things. And this has been confirmed. It wasn't just my conversation with her. I've confirmed it from other sources as well. A couple of things. One is she talked about the difficulty getting enough cases under your belt. That is, not getting given cases to do, not having operations that you can actually perform, not having the attendings turn things over to you. This I could not believe. One of the requisites to become board certified, at least in surgery, is you have to turn over to the Board of Examiners for the American Board of Surgery, the American Board of Plastic Surgery, a log of the cases you have done in the course of your residency program. So they list, every case you've done as a surgeon, as an assistant, and whatnot. Well, they're now permitted to list operations in there as part of the surgical experience that they've only watched. So if they sit behind the anesthesia screen or look over the shoulder of the surgeon and watch an operation, they can list that in the logbook as part of their surgical experience. And I can tell you personally that you don't learn surgery that way. You learn about getting your hands in there.
I've watched a lot of medical shows. I'm not a doctor as a result. That's
and that's what's scary, and that allows them to qualify for taking their boards. The other thing they do, which is really
what would be again the motive there? Why would you allow that?
The ACS has already anticipated there's going to be a shortage of 19,000 surgeons by 2030. 5 years from now, we're going to be shy nearly 20,000 surgeons in this country. Right now, the USA is short 1,200 trauma surgeons. There are places that need a trauma surgeon that can't get one because they're just not around. So one idea, as bad as it may be, is to put out anybody and everybody, and you don't want to drop anybody just so you can get the numbers up there.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.